Is it on now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're rolling.
All right, so then let's get.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
We got one person, 5 people. All right,
I don't see many of you guys on here yet. Can you
waiting.
guys hear me okay?
Can you hear us?
Can you guys hear us okay?
How do you guys like the backdrop?
Can y'all hear us? Yes? No?
Okay, here it is.
Let me know if you guys can hear us good.
It says unable to play video on mine.
Oh yeah, keep going.
No, that's it right there.
Yeah, keep going up. Right there, you share off
okay.
of that. Can you guys hear us okay? Yes? No? Thumbs up? Thumbs down? Yes? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Cool. 1 second. We're setting up really quick.
Yeah,
right?
we're still setting up. But how do you guys like the backdrop?
How's that backdrop for you
That's
guys?
all. That's all. See that Juarez and El Paso. So that's El Paso right here, and over that way, the lights behind Anthony. That's all Juarez. That's all. That's Mexico. So I'm sure a lot of you. I don't know. Most of your people from El Paso or.
They're all across the nation, actually. We have a lot of people from Texas on here watching, but we have people literally, actually, all across the globe. Bangladesh, China. I'm serious. We have them
crazy.
from everywhere on here.
So the reason we're doing this is that what we want to try to do is Anthony and I went to the Trump rally, and on the way up to Albuquerque from El Paso, we had like some really interesting discussions, and really it's very, I consider myself very red-pilled, and Anthony gave me a mega dose of his insights that I thought, man, if we can get together and talk about this stuff in public and maybe have open discussions with people like you on here, then I think that, sorry, we're having some technical difficulties, but I said, I think, watch out, buddy, it's
Yeah.
I think that, people need to know about this and, see where we're coming from when we talk about globalism and socialism and things of that nature, and exactly what's behind the agenda. And a lot of you might think of this as conspiracy theories or whatever, and that's fine. But as long as you have an open mind to it, and you can just hear us discuss this, and you guys can ask questions, then that's just that. At least you're opening Pandora's box, and you're questioning the narrative, and that's basically what we want to do, right, Anthony?
Absolutely. Just as you guys are listening to us tonight, be sure to keep an open mind, okay? A lot of this stuff is easy to dismiss and call people, oh, they're crazy, and shut it off, because unfortunately we've been very, very well conditioned through social engineering, through TV programming, through the radio, through even through music. So it's very easy for you just to tune it out and say, oh, those guys are crazy, and just completely be dismissive of it. That's the easy part. The hard part is actually, like they say, it's a hard pill to swallow, because unfortunately, a lot of the things that we've grown up believing sometimes are not true, and some of the things that we've grown up not believing are actually, in fact, true.
We've been conditioned our whole lives, and we don't even realize that. So what we're going to try to do tonight, and just talk about, we're going to talk about 3 or 4 subjects, is break those barriers down. And a lot of people are going to short circuit and freak out and probably turn this off. And that's okay. That's fine. If you can't handle it, if it's too much of a monstrous conspiracy or it's just too hard to believe, then that's fine. Turn it off. You don't need to watch this. But if you're open to this and you have an open mind and actually want to question the government, the narrative, then stay tuned, because this stuff is really interesting. And like I was saying, when I was driving with Anthony to the Trump rally, the discussions we had in the car, man, I was like, man, we have got to do some kind of podcast or broadcast this out to your audience, Anthony, because this is important, and I think people need to know this stuff. I think that everything that we're going to touch on that we talked about, we're not going to go into. I don't think we're going to go into the reptilian agenda and all the crazy,
Y'all aren't ready for none of that.
That maybe will be for another discussion
in a short time in the future, but not as of right now. We want to get straight into the globalistic agenda, some of the conditioning of the mind that is being done to our youth. So like I was telling David, a lot of people say, oh, you're only doing this because the position that you're in or what you're trying to accomplish. I said, no. I've been trying to help my community for years on end. And in 2015, I actually flew down a gentleman by the name of Freeway Rick Ross. Not the rapper, the actual Freeway Rick Ross, which he had just finished his prison sentence. Mr. Ross was actually incarcerated because he was bringing in tons and tons of drugs from Colombia. And
what decade was this? This was the 80s, right, or 70s?
It was in the early 80s.
So everyone's familiar with the rapper Rick Ross. This guy is where that guy actually stole this dude's name,
Right.
and it's Freeway Rick Ross, and he's the original Rick Ross.
Yeah, he's the actual gangster. The
and
rapper.
you brought him to El Paso.
Yeah, I actually.
This guy actually brought him to El Paso.
Right. So for those of you guys that are not familiar, I used to do real estate. I became one of the top producers in the city, doing, pretty decent for myself. And I scraped up some money, and it cost me about $6,200 to fly this man down here into El Paso. And I still keep in touch with him and his manager, as a matter of fact. And I flew him down here because I heard his message. This guy got out of prison and realized that a fake rapper actually stole his identity and was using it to capitalize on through music. So Mr. Ross actually reached out to the rapper and he told him, hey man, why don't we team up together? You can keep the name, let's team up and let's start educating our people. And when he said our people, he meant like the black community. Because while Rick Ross, the actual gangster, the actual drug dealer, was in prison, he realized what was happening. So he realized that so many black men were being put into prison, being put into jail. And what was happening was he realized the music to prison pipeline. Okay, he brought up the discussion on what the difference is in hip hop and rap. Okay, for those of you guys that might have heard, oh well, hip hop is rap or rap is hip hop. No. Hip-hop is, rap is the art of being a lyricist, of being able
being
to...
lyrical.
Being lyrical, That's being a rapper, that's rap. Hip-hop is the actual fabricated culture created by the CIA in the late 70s to keep the minds, predominantly of the black community, suppressed, okay? And it's like I was telling David, when was the last time that you guys heard a positive hip-hop song?
Yeah, because everything deals with frequency and vibration.
Right.
So like when you're sending out this vibration, you're actually able to brainwash and manipulate minds through music and control a mindset and control the masses. So this is actually, to me, this makes complete sense, bro.
Yeah.
Like, so for when you told me that the CIA, what Rick Ross told you, how the CIA fabricated and actually invented, I guess you could say, hip hop.
Right.
That didn't blow me away. I was like, that makes complete sense to me. And so go ahead, keep.
So the CIA created the hip hop culture. Okay, it's a fabricated culture created to, like I said, suppress the minds of predominantly the black community. So it's like they say, what you put into your mind manifests into your life, right?
Reality.
It's the law of attraction for those of you guys that might be familiar with. So if you're constantly being positive and thinking positive and putting positive vibration and talking positive things begin to manifest into your life.
Right, and hip hop always talks about the objectification of women. And now it's, if you notice nowadays, what is it turned into? It's getting into more of the
even
emasculation
and
emasculation of
homosexuality.
men. Yeah, emasculation of men, the masculation of women. I mean, it's kind of like you can see where this agenda is going, and this has been going since, well, I think even before the 70s, but with music, with hip hop, it's been going since then.
And it's been happening through rock music as
Oh,
well.
absolutely.
You don't really ever hear any positive music anymore. Even rock has its subliminal messaging. It has its funky lyrics to it sometimes. And so just think about this. When these kids, because it's mainly the youth that listen to hip hop, when these kids are constantly repeating lyrics about belittling women or doing drugs or shooting people or selling drugs, they start to believe that in their mind.
It becomes the culture.
It becomes their culture. So they, in a sort of sense, they get hip. Their mind becomes all hip hop, right? And they start acting like they see these actors do. Because remember, most of these artists, they get paid to brainwash the community. Look, remember this. Always remember this. The bigger the chain, the bigger the slave. Okay? And I'm not talking about just blacks in general. I'm talking about most of these hip-hop artists. You know, you see them flossing these huge chains. They're in debt to their masters. And what I mean
Would you
by...
say most of the masters are what, the Jewish?
It's
who are the, like, when we say masters, like, who are we really saying the masters are? I mean, they're kind of, they kind of say masked. They're kind of like unseen.
Yeah, you won't ever see
like,
them, but it's like the people up at top at Sony, the Rockefellers.
Yeah.
They're
the ones cutting the checks.
The people cutting the checks down below, up above to down below. So these rappers end up getting paid millions of dollars to program the youth, the kids, your kids, and
it's a straight pipeline into the prison system.
Exactly.
So it's almost like they're in bed together. So hip hop and the prison systems, what is it? The private prison systems? Or I guess it's all the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're all in bed together, and it's a straight direct pipeline into the prison systems.
Straight to it.
Created by the negative, influence of hip hop. Well,
right.
Hip hop culture.
So all you hear in hip hop is drug using, selling drugs, shooting people,
glorifying it.
They glorify it, and you hear them about belittling women, like I said. And so if a child or these 13, 14-year-old kids are constantly playing this, even though it's a catchy beat, and us as parents fail to identify that at some point, it's just music, it's just a movie, and we just let it go on. The music industry is working hard to indoctrinate your kids, okay? And as they're going, your kids are repeating this all day long, even at school.
There's a scorpion on
There's
the
a big scorpion walking around out here. Big scorpion. And so, your kids are repeating this
it's
all day.
Nervous.
Like,
Damn, dude.
when I put my feet up, bro.
He's looking right at us. I think he's interested.
He's listening. So as your kids are repeating this on a daily basis at school, throughout the day, your kids start being indoctrinated to the point where they start dressing like these hip hop artists, because to a certain extent, these individuals become influential to our kids. So our kids want to go and imitate what they're doing, what they're wearing, how they're wearing it, how they're dressing, how they talk, the lingo. All of that is called social engineering.
And then hold on, but let's take it a step further though, Anthony, because we got a lot of subjects to talk on. So like what I'm going to bring up right now is now that's happening in schools, right? Mm-hmm. So the social engineering has now hit the colleges, the public school system. It's even hit churches. If you the other day I passed by a church and it said, bring in the immigrant as our own. Yeah, it's a soft, oh man, you got it. Yeah, it's a very Christian-like view, but you're forgetting what the agenda really is here.
Right.
And so maybe you can explain a little bit how you explained to me how the social engineering is happening in schools with the professors and the teachers, because that's what was really like, you break it down in such a detailed format that I think this is why we're doing this podcast right now. So kind of explain to them like how you told me about the professors and the teachers that are actually indoctrinating the kids with this social engineering, with this globalist this identification, this socialist agenda that socialism's good, that's where we're headed, it's the better way for America, the world comes together as one, and it's all positive. It all sounds positive, but it's very, very negative. It's almost would you say mostly a Masonic type of
it
New
is
World
definitely
order,
Masonic,
type
and
view.
it's indoctrination into the New World Order. Our kids at such a young age don't know any better. They never lived out in the free world. All they know is what is being presented to them through music, TV, movies, and school. Those are the top four, really, because unfortunately, sometimes parents at home are so busy and so caught up working, that they tend to forget that their kids' brain is like a sponge. And so when they're at home, yes, they're relaxing, yes, they're spending family time, but they're watching movies, they're watching TV, and they're being indoctrinated. And we fail to recognize that, even through the Mickey Mouse Club, even through the Disney Channel, through the Cartoon Network. If you really study what we're talking about right now,
and the subliminal messages, and
the
also
subliminal
the
messaging,
symbology that they also use.
Absolutely,
the symbolic messages
absolutely.
with the triangle, the one eye. This is all indoctrination slowly into a one world religion, one world government.
Yeah.
Socialism for all, like a prison planet system. Like actually, Alex Jones talks about this forever, and William Cooper have talked about this forever. And he talks about it in Behold the Pale Horse. William Cooper to me was one of the first pioneers on this. I respect Alex Jones as well, but what we're talking about is very, very taboo. Very, very touchy. It's very dark.
And a lot of people are afraid to talk about
they won't
this.
talk about it, especially us. And Anthony's getting ready to run against Veronica Escobar. In my mind, one of the biggest criminals out there. One of the biggest globalist puppets, globalist chess pieces there are. It's not about Republican, Democrat. We're not here spitting out Republican, Democrat, or anything like that. We're talking facts. We're talking about what the real agenda is. And we're woke.
It's globalism. It's globalism. It's literally nationalism versus globalism.
And that's what Trump represents. What people don't understand about supporting Trump is that, what you got to understand is he is the last wedge. He is the last. He's the line. He's the line. He's our defensive line against the globalist agenda. And he's, in all means, he's an accidental president. And what I want to shift gears to now, Anthony, is why he's an accidental president, because the actual open migration pact of the United Nations, did I say it right? Open migration pact that Obama drafted in office, that was getting ready to be signed by Hillary. Am I correct?
Yeah,
Hillary Clinton. Trump disrupted that, and that's why they're after him, tooth and nail to get his ass out of office. And the globalists own all the media, they own all your syndicates, they own every form of news that you watch and you engulf. That's why when I look at a Democrat or a socialist, I see them as just entranced, as in they're almost hypnotized. They're mind controlled.
It's like what we saw at the rally not too long ago, a few days ago. You and I, these individuals, they're. I mean, the lights are on, but there's nobody home.
No, yeah.
And they've been manipulated and brainwashed, and I have no doubt that they have the right intention.
I agree with you on that.
But they're
misinformed.
They're very, very misinformed. They've been lied to. And when you present these individuals with facts, they disconnect. The easy thing is for people to disconnect. Oh, these guys are crazy. Oh, no, that's not true. Yeah. And the fact of the matter is that through school, it sounds very nice how they present it to them. Oh, you got to be caring. Oh, you got to love these people, love one another, bring them in. But there is a deeper, darker agenda. It's very deceptive.
It's a very deceptive agenda. And it's a sugar coating with whipped cream and a cherry on top when it's a big shit sandwich. And so, like what I want to talk about is this open migration pact, man. So the United Nations, from what you have told me, has how many countries involved right now?
190 something countries.
190 something countries that have all signed on to this. And it's just basically open borders for all, right?
It's basically all open borders. And the last country, from what I know of, back in January, the last country to get out of it was Brazil. Brazil said, "Nah, this is not working out for us.
Is that have to do with the BRICS, or is that something entirely different? Or
I think that has.
Is that something entirely okay? But what about Brexit and all that? Does that have anything to do with
that they were a part of it, and
okay.
that was a globalization agenda as well.
Okay.
And they also were a part of. I'm not sure if they're still in it or they're fighting to get out.
So people are waking up in pockets and like all over the world. But you were telling me that something that was very astonishing to me, which wasn't surprising, but you were talking about the president of Mexico.
Right. So Mexico's president, Enrique Peña Nieto, Mexico's ex-president, drafted the Open Migration Pact along with the United Nations, just as Obama did for the United States. Obama left it ready for Hillary Clinton to sign, which, surprise, surprise, they didn't get a Hillary Clinton. They got a Donald J. Trump. Thank God. Unfortunately for Mexico, the guy that they got, which is AMLO, he signed right into it, said, yeah. And Mexicans, unfortunately, they were so tired of the corruption. They were so tired of the lies and the deception from their past administrations that when they started hearing what AMLO was telling them, they started believing it. They said, oh my God, this guy's so different. He doesn't have bodyguards around him. He drives around in a beat up car and they started believing all of this.
He's one of us.
Exactly. And he had been talking about, oh, yo soy uno de ti, I'm one of y'all. But they failed to recognize that when he said he was going to help the needy, never in there did he say he was going to help Mexicans. Okay? That linguistics,
gotta read between the fine lines,
linguistics is everything. Okay? And he brainwashed a large or a vast population of Mexico into believing into his lies, repetitive, and people started believing it. Well, they signed onto this open migration pact just like 190 something other countries did. And prior to last September, you guys we never heard of no caravans, up until last September when the open migration pact took effect in Mexico. And like I said, the United States did not sign into it, but unfortunately they're using Mexico
as the open gate,
as the open door
to
come right in through the southern border of Mexico and come and exploit our southern borders because of our weak immigration laws. And it's so easy for all of these individuals to just be pouring into Mexico because, as many of you guys have seen, Oscar and Ben Bergquam out there in Chiapas, it is super easy for just anybody to come in back and forth with no repercussions, with no questions asked. You guys saw my partner Oscar El Blue, which, by the way, shout out to you, Blue.
Yeah, Oscar.
He crossed on over on that water little raft with the guy rowing back and forth like nothing without being asked any kind of documentation. So it is easy. It is very easy for anybody to come into Mexico and come straight up to our southern border, America's southern borders.
Well, here's what surprised me, Anthony, is that, and a lot of people don't know this, is he introduced me to Oscar El Blue. He's on Facebook. It's just under El Blue, right? Oscar El Blue?
Yeah, Oscar El Blue.
Yeah. And what tripped me out was I said, where are you from? And I was talking to him on FaceTime. And he was wearing a Trump hat and a Trump shirt. And he's like, I'm in Tijuana. I'm like, and you're wearing that shit out there? I was like, dude, what are you crazy? And after we started talking to him, he goes, no, man, you don't understand. There's a lot of people here that are Trump supporters in Tijuana. And I can't really say that I see that in Juarez, I'll be honest with you. But apparently in Tijuana, he's saying that there's so many migrants coming in through Central and South America that the Mexicans are getting sick of this shit. They're getting tired of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, there's more and more Trump supporters in Tijuana that the media would never let you believe that. But actually, it's actually turning. Would you say?
Absolutely.
And so
turning.
that was a breath of fresh air to me. That people are actually waking up. They're getting sick and tired of this as well. They don't want their jobs being taken. I heard the Cubans are taking over a lot of their jobs.
They are, and even here in Ciudad Juarez, the moment you walk, I've walked across back and forth because I've been surveilling several shelters and several houses here on the other side of the border. So when I walk across over there from time to time, the only Mexicans that you really see are the ones on the bridge selling you chiclets or selling you, little necklaces, little bracelets on the bridge. Those are the only ones. But for the most part, most of them are Cuban. There is so many Cubans out there and people from Venezuela. There's hardly really, and I'm being honest with you guys, and I'll take you guys here in the next couple of days over there. There's hardly any actual people from Juarez working or even as business owners. It does not even, oh snap.
Now we got another friend. It's a
Yeah,
huge roach.
we got a
big.
flying roach.
Whoa!
Squash that thing.
No, he's getting out of here.
Sorry. There's the
The business owners and
yeah.
they're taking over the jobs.
There's most of these business owners now down there are not even Mexicans. So what leads, obviously, it's clear as day that these people are coming over here. Some are actually assimilating, but there's a definite shift in people that are actually living there and actually business owners. There's more people, there's more foreigners down there working and taking over the businesses than there are Mexicans. Now, we've never really had an issue with Mexicans here at our wall-less, borderless area out here in Anapra. For those of you that might be familiar.
And hold on, this is where Beto O'Rourke and Veronica Escobar come in. This is why they want open borders. This goes right into the globalist agenda. This goes right into the Open Migration Pact.
Right.
This feeds right into it. And when you see these caravans coming up, you know, I've heard, and I don't know if, and I believe these are true, is that these are funded by George Soros. A lot of them, these caravans and other special interests that are for the globalization.
Well, it's not confirmed.
Okay,
It's
that's why
speculated.
I'm saying it's rumors.
It's speculated, but we do
It is
know for a
speculated, yeah.
fact that these caravans are being, in fact, backed by the president of Venezuela, by leftist open border organizations like Al Otro Lado, Pueblos Sin Fronteras, and you guys know we've been digging on that through BNN with Ben and America's Voice News and Oscar. You guys know we've been hammering that and even gone to these shelters in Tijuana to confront these leftist activists, which are assisting in the aiding and abetting of these individuals by creating fake marriages and giving them fake documentation to get these individuals to cross over. We have the receipts, folks. We have the receipts. So we've been busy, and we know that for a fact that these leftist organizations, and along with other attorneys that are not licensed to work in Mexico, are out there assisting these irregular migrants on coming over here and breaking into our country and undermining the sovereignty of America.
And you know what really surprised me? This is the same subject but kind of different. When I was doing people know that I've been involved with We Build the Wall, and I was a spokesperson for that. And when we were setting up the wall in Sunland Park, New Mexico, I will never forget when we started putting down the first panel up the mountain in just that little area. It was a very strategic area. It was high crime, high sex trafficking, illegal drugs that were coming imported through that area. When we were putting up the panels onto the wall, just in the hour that I was there, in 1 hour, 45 minutes to an hour, in that time span, there were 86 immigrants that climbed over the mountain with backpacks that stopped, and they could not believe that they were putting up panels. Like, it completely screwed up their plan, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They walked over a hill, and I'm talking about, it was like a movie. 86 of them, just in my time that I was there, in an hour's time, 86 illegals that were coming over the mountain. And they weren't from Juarez, they weren't from Mexico. They were from Brazil. The Border Patrol stopped them, they started talking to them. They could not believe this area just behind me, right over there, you could usually see lights that go up this area right here that were from Mount Cristo Rey, of the wall. That would be the wall that would be right behind me. That area was a strategic entrance for these people. And now it's cut off. It's an artery that's just been closed. And like I said, I could not believe in just an hour's time, 86 illegal, 86, bro. Like, this is in 45 minutes to an hour, 86, all bum rushing. So could you imagine every hour on the hour how many people were coming here? Just in that little area, in that little half a mile alone. Now imagine all the miles we have to take care of. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is an invasion. This is as simple as that. It's an invasion. It's a globalist invasion.
That's
being funded by the globalists.
And what they're really working on is saturating our government assistance, basically. Cliven, but what is it called? The strategy.
Oh yeah.
I'll
You got
think
me
of it
in
right
there.
now. I'll think of it right now. But what they're doing is they're gonna bring the United States to its knees. Look at El Paso right now, okay? If I'm not mistaken, we're already the highest property tax city in the nation.
Absolutely.
We
So
were right
corrupt.
behind Detroit.
So corrupt.
And now, from my understanding, we're probably, if not the highest, we are still behind Detroit. We don't even have proper streets to drive around on, and they're
No,
bringing
but they'll waste money on a trolley.
and a trolley that nobody rides. We live in a freaking desert, and they're bringing water parks, which we have to maintain and
Yeah.
keep running, where there's already a shortage of water. Like it's mindless.
But what we're
spending.
saying right now is really like, Anthony's running for office. I'm deciding to run for an office coming up, and what we're saying is really touchy.
No,
and
he's not deciding.
I'll announce at some point. But this is very touchy stuff, and it's very controversial. And we already know they're going to try to eat us alive for this. We know, but listen, someone has to have the balls to say this. You can't just hide behind, hide behind the other side, or here in El Paso, a lot of the Republicans and Democrats, most of them are in bed together.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So
Mm-hmm.
there's nobody making a stand except really us. I mean, do you know of anybody else?
Really?
Everyone hides, man.
We're tired of this corruption. The reason we decided to come out here and just let it all hang out, guys, is because somebody needs to talk about this. Mainstream media does a phenomenal job keeping
hiding it.
all of our constituents in the dark. And let's really talk about what's really happening in El Paso.
Oh,
Our city manager signed us on to the Rockefeller Foundation, guys. And a lot of people are not talking about. As a matter of fact,
Nobody is.
nobody's
It never
talking
hit the
about
news.
this.
It never hit the news.
never hit the news.
It's the 100 city. What is it?
It's called 100 Resilient Cities.
Resilient cities
And-
under the Rockefellers.
Absolutely. So people across the globe are deciding how El Paso will be ran. Okay? That's not right.
Engineered.
It's
Engineered.
social engineering. It's geoengineering.
And a lot of people talk about, I've always told people El Paso, and this is another, a lot of you might not agree with this, whatever. I don't care. I'm going to say it anyway. If you look up in the skies in El Paso, they're the worst chemtrails I've ever seen in my life.
And
of
the
any
proper
city.
term is geoengineering.
Geoengineering, right? And so, but I haven't seen much of them lately. Since
They've been slowed
they've
down
been
a little
dissipating.
bit.
But I will say that, man, the chemtrails were off the charts. Everywhere you go, free flu shots, free vaccinations. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
That's another whole part of it. This
and
is all together. It's all part of the puzzle.
It's all intertwined, guys. The 100 most resilient cities is trying to cram us all into mini sections.
But do you think the people that are working here in El Paso for them, they don't know that? They're kept in the dark as well. They're compartmentalized.
Yeah,
so they don't. If they were listening to what we're talking about right now, they think we're crazy because they're doing an honest job. They think it's a great thing. They look at the positive aspects of it. They don't understand this dark side of it.
Yeah, and only the people that are actually like the county commissioners, the city manager, and the mayor, and maybe some of the clowns in city council genuinely know about this. But the average employee that works here downtown for the city, they're not aware of this. And they feel like, oh, we're doing the right thing, and I get it. Their hearts might be set on the right way. You know what I mean? They might really have the right intention, but unfortunately up top,
They're just a pawn.
they're not giving them the full rundown. They're not being descriptive, and they're being deceived by the people up on top, like our city manager, Tommy Gonzalez. And it's really disgusting that you ask anybody here in El Paso, hey, did you know that we're sold out, or the Rockefeller Foundation is running basically El Paso? What? No, you're crazy. That's a conspiracy theory.
It's not.
Go to 100resilientcities.org, and El Paso's in there, and they're gonna be.
I think what they count on with El Paso is that people here are so lackadaisical and they're so lethargic that they just let they let the other people grab the reins and run with the city.
It's like,
have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Nobody besides us is really coming out talking about this stuff.
Look, I saw a perfect example earlier tonight from Mr. Tom Buccino, which I hope he runs for county sheriff. He stipulated on a post saying, when you go and touch a hot iron and you burn yourself, most people will not go back and touch that hot iron. However, here in El Paso, we burn ourselves and we keep going back and going back and going back and going back. And you know, even as far as the mayor status, okay? So we have one mayor, and then he decides he's not running, or he's gonna keep running, and then the old mayor pops up again, and then it's like hot potato, hot potato, hot potato. And at the end of the day, they're both on the same freaking side, whether they have an R or a D. And I'm sick of that.
They're
we
all
need
in bed
fresh
together.
blood. All of these guys are in bed together. All of them.
See, I would say El Paso is one of the most corrupt cities I've ever seen. And now that I'm knowing who the politicians are by name, and listen, we're going to start calling them out. There's no stopping us now. This is going to just take off like a tidal wave. We need people to get behind us.
We need you conservatives out there. Even
true
if you feel, oh, I don't have a voice. Oh, no, these guys are crazy.
Everyone has a voice.
We need all of you guys to back us.
Yeah, what we're doing is, what we're embarking on is something that's really never been done.
It really hasn't.
We're really calling out everybody.
We've been working on this for some time. Me and this guy and myself, and we're bringing other conservatives, other like-minded individuals on board, and we need all of you guys to get behind us.
And another thing that makes me mad, Anthony, is that a lot of the Border Patrol, a lot of the customs, a lot of these guys feel the same way we do.
Absolutely.
And they're not allowed to say shit.
Tell them what they told you the other day.
Oh, yeah, they could lose their job. They could lose their job if they voice anything. A guy came to me and said, man, we really back Anthony. Tell me he has our support, but we can't say anything, man. We'll get fired. You know, they're not allowed to say a damn thing. But yet the liberals are allowed to cuss at them, scream at them, say whatever they want for their agenda, but we have to be quieted. And also, if you notice on social media, what do? They censor all the conservatives. They censor every single one of them. Anyone that their voice starts getting big, which they'll probably censor this video, I would imagine.
Yeah.
At some point, they cut you down. They cut you off. They completely deformatted Alex Jones. He's completely off. They only do that if you're a threat.
Absolutely.
Okay. So you know, whether you like him or not, or you think he was a shrill or whatever you want to call him, or a fearmonger, whatever, they cut him out because listen, he's a threat to this globalist agenda. Mm-hmm. And what we're coming out and saying right now is so controversial. I mean, you know, a lot of people are going to hate this video. A lot of people are going to love it. A lot of people are hopefully some of you get a nugget of knowledge that you can wake up and be like,
I just want to plant that seed here tonight. And for those of you guys that might have been thinking of maybe wanting to stand up, maybe you don't know where to go or who you can get behind or who you can stand next to as far as wanting to fight and take this city back, guys, we cannot afford for you guys just to sit back at home and not get involved.
Especially on election day with Trump. If Trump does not win this election, guys, it's a wrap. It's
we
done.
are
it's
one
done.
election away.
It's over. Like
one election away from losing this country, guys.
Complete socialism, complete globalism. It's done. It's a wrap. And let me tell you, I'm going to bring up something else.
Hit it.
And you know, this could be our last topic. But listen, one of the biggest sellouts I've ever seen in my life, I'm going to call them out right now, is Beto O'Rourke. I mean, no, I'm being serious. And Veronica Escobar. Mm-hmm. They're pig vomit to me.
Yeah.
You know, I have no respect for you. None. Zero. Either you know what you're doing, you're unwittingly or you're unwittingly doing this. Both of them are the same to me. You know, ignorance is not bliss in this case. I believe you know what you're doing. And listen, let's touch on a little bit of a conspiracy here. And this is going to be very, very controversial, but I knew when that shooter came out, when they said that they shot up at Walmart, I knew for a fact it was going to be a white supporting Trump supporter. I knew
or quote unquote, because actually
and
he
Beto
really
ran
wasn't.
with this all the way. He used this for his political agenda. He ran with it head first, man. I mean, I could not. I knew this was by the book.
And the news didn't come out and clarify that he in fact was not a Trump supporter. He was a white supremacist liberal that had lost his freaking mind, and the news did not stand up to the truth and come out and correct all of the bull crap that they put out on the news.
And another thing I want to correct too is this: my friend Chris Grant, the guy that got shot twice.
Okay.
They completely
blocked off his interview.
Yeah. They discredited him. He was the guy that got shot twice in Walmart. He was the one throwing bottles from the aisles at the shooter. I mean, this guy actually was trying to throw bottles at the shooter. And when this happened, I believe he was there with his mom at Walmart, and he was asking her, "Where's the gun? Where's the gun?" So she usually carries a gun in her purse. Well, that day, they have a conceal and carry license. That day, she did not bring his gun. So when Cuomo did an interview with him on CNN, Chris Grant said, man, if I would have had my gun, that guy would have been dead. I would have shot him dead. I would have shot him dead. Well, CNN did not like that. And that day, he just got the Medal of Valor from Trump. And immediately, CNN started discrediting him. And now our El Paso police force, they won't release the video. They will not release a video. But yet they're saying, and I believe they're in bed with O'Rourke and everybody else. I'm just going to say it. They said that he never threw the bottles. It's a complete lie. It's a fabricated bullshit story. And that he's a liar. And so they discredited Chris Grant right out of the gate. And I'm going to tell you right now, I believe the guy's story. He came out of a coma. That's the first thing he said. He received the Medal of Valor from Trump, and now he's just been slandered and just torn apart. And now he's discredited. And how could you do that to a man that was shot twice, bro? Shot twice.
I mean,
almost died.
Let's not even go that far off. The family of the two young couple, the young couple of whom was murdered in that same Walmart. That family, because they welcomed President Trump, they're receiving death threats. Death threats for taking a picture, for taking this young couple's kid and saying, you know what, thank you, President Trump, for coming to El Paso, for trying to bring some peace and unity, as a president should, okay? As a president should, okay? And this family is being blacklisted on their business. They're receiving death threats. And you know why? Because we have people like Robert Francis O'Rourke. We have people, public servant, which that's exactly what she is. And she's forgotten that. She's our public servant, not Mexico's, not Guatemala, not Honduras.
And her husband just happens to be an immigration lawyer.
Because of people like Robert Francis O'Rourke and Veronica Escobar with their hateful rhetoric and the spewing of the hate of the victim mentality. We're victims, we're victims, go get them. Nobody's a victim. Stop with your identity politics. We're not a victim. I'm not a victim. I'm a Mexican. I'm an American citizen with rich Mexican roots. I'm not a victim. Why do you want to continue to put people in this victim mentality? Because they're more easy to manipulate. Because they can tug at your feelings, and people that are not aware of what the Democrats all around are doing.
It gives you a reason to feel powerless. That's what it does. It gives you a reason to feel powerless and put the blame on someone else. When we went to the Trump rally, what did we see there? We saw Indians,
diversity,
Mexicans,
baby.
We saw
Diversity.
blacks, we saw whites, and they were all together laughing, smiling. The only people that were pissed off was the little section of liberals, that the Antifa crowd that were yelling cuss words and spewing poison and hate out of their mouth. The Trump people were just ignoring them. They weren't even fighting back. They were just like, okay, all right, have a nice day. And they're beating what, Indian drums? Remember that Indian drums?
Yeah.
And putting all the cuss words on their shirts and on their
Being
sleeves.
foul.
Just foul, almost demonic.
Is that how
demonic.
y'all want to be remembered? These leftist liberals being so foul and disgusting and negative? I'm talking about disgusting messages all across their shirts, on their hats, on their banners, and I'm just like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's I'm gonna tell you what, people. We're gonna wrap it up now, but I'm gonna say that I felt like this discussion needed to be had. I wanted to drop a little dose of a red pill. This is just a part of the conversation that Anthony and I had on the way to Rio Rancho to the Trump rally. And when I sat there and I was talking, I was like, Anthony, we have got to put this out there and let people know at least what we represent and what we truly believe, because it's not about being left or right or Republican or Democrat or blue or red. It's about truth, man. It's about nuggets of truth, and it's about exposing these pieces of shit out there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
We got to be honest. I
Yep.
mean, that's what it is. These people are corrupting El Paso, they're corrupting the country, and we need to expose it.
We can't cower down to them anymore. We can't play this political bullshit that they're playing, guys.
They've got us beat with the media. They're controlling everybody with the media. I mean, they control all the news networks. They control all of Hollywood, Netflix. I mean, the whole damn thing. I mean,
political correctness has to come to an end.
That's
we have to
speech.
be able to talk with facts, before emotion and talk facts.
First, they come for political correctness, and now they're coming for the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment protects all your amendments, okay? And it's for a tyrannical government. It's not for anything else. It's not for a home invader or anything like that. It's for the government. That's why an armed society is a society that can protect the freedom of the country, okay? And that's just the simple.
An armed society is a peaceful society.
Exactly.
Okay?
Absolutely.
We own guns to make sure that there's checks and balances, that the government does not flip the script on the citizens, on the constituents. Okay? They want to disarm you. They want you to be vulnerable. Why? Look at history. I invite you. I'm not going to say anymore. Just look at history. What follows after disarmament? After they disarm a society? Mass genocide.
Absolutely.
Look it up.
History repeats itself, guys, and they're doing it again. But they're doing it very, very deceptive. And they're using communism in the form of liberalism. So with that being said, Anthony, man, we're going to try to do this again. I would love to do this weekly if you can.
I think we should at least once a week.
I think we should do this once a week and discuss what's going through our minds and what's going on with globalization and socialism and really give it to the people why we support Trump. We're not racist bigots. We don't hate Mexicans. They're not all rapists. Listen, these are facts that we're telling you. Okay, these are real facts that we're telling you, and it's a chess game. It's a global chess game that they're playing, and we need to stop playing checkers, and we need to get on the chessboard. So, with that being said,
this guy has a huge announcement coming up. We're gonna take our city back and help the rest of our nation by taking back this small piece of this district, El Paso, to help Texas and the rest of the country. And I'll be damned if we don't try our hardest to help every single citizen here involved in beating socialism and communism and all these rest of clowns that are out here trying to undermine the sovereignty of our country and trying to bring America to their knees. I am sick of that, and which is why I've made that decision. The little slander, the much slander that could be done to me or to my name, that's nothing compared to how bad our city needs us.
I really got to give credit to Anthony because everyone tells me, well, he's not going to make it. He has no business doing this. Really? What are you doing? I don't see you doing this. You're not doing the broadcasting that we're doing right now. You're not saying truth. This guy has balls to get out there and do it. And I see action. I see action behind this guy, and he has the guts to do it. So to me, you have 100% of my support, and I thank you, man. You've inspired me. You've inspired me. I really. For a long time, I thought I was the only voice in El Paso coming out with this, going to the KLAQ and Buzz Adams show. And man, when I met you, I was like, man, perfect. We got 2. Now we need 3. We're going to get 4. Then we'll get 10. Then we'll get 20. Then we'll get 80. Then we'll get 200. And it'll just keep growing. This is how it happens. It's going to be a tidal wave of movement. So we need all of you behind us. Please join my page, David Rodriguez. On Facebook, Nino Boxing.
It's tagged up on top of this live feed, guys.
And my Instagram is Nino Boxing. And listen, we're gonna take this back, man.
Absolutely.
We're gonna go for it. We're gonna give it a hell of a try, and we're gonna go for it. Not even try. We're gonna do it.
We're gonna do it. El Paso's never seen a movement how it's gonna be moving. We have other individuals, other conservatives that have already jumped on board that are gonna be running for different seats here locally, which we're all going to be pretty much campaigning together. We're going to take this over, and we're sick and tired of the corruption and the lies and the deception going on here in El Paso. And it's time for conservatives to finally have a voice and come together and be strong together. This
is a new breed. What we're doing right now, this is a new breed. This is rogue. We're going rogue.
That's it.
And we're going for it, man. We're breaking down the walls. You can't stop us. We're not scared.
Nope.
So we're going for it.
All right. Love you guys. Take care. Peace and love. Always, your country is first. God bless you guys. We'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Go Trump.